Oh, yeah, because it's right. Go ahead and check it up already. All right. Okay. All right. Well, hello everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. We are gonna give it a few minutes, give people a little chance to come in. I hope everybody's having a good week thus far as we've reached Hump Day, the middle of the week here. Yeah, we ran long last night, so and I'll go over what stories we're gonna be covering tonight. In a few minutes here. So let's see. Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. Have a yabba dabba do time. From the town of Bedrock, there's a place right out of history. That's right, with the family down the street. Rudolph, courtesy of Fred the Leap. When you're with the Flintstones, have a yabba dabba do time. A dabba do time. We'll have a gay old time. Meet George Jetson, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. His boy Elroy, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Daughter Judy, do-do-do-do-do. Jane, his wife, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Come along with the snorks, swim along with the snorks. So much sea waiting for you and me. Some fun with the snorks. You could breathe underwater. Where would you go if you had friends underwater? Who would you know? Come along and sing along too. Yeah! Come along with the snorks. Swim along with the snorks. So much to see waiting for you and me. Have some fun with the come along. Come along with the snorks. 369 12 15 18 21 24 27 30 369 12 15 18 21 24 27 30. Yeah, there's three in the family. Then there's three in the family. Mama and Daddy had a little baby. Yes, they did. It's a magic number. Yes, they did. It's a family. 369 12 15 18 21 24 27 30. 369 12 15 18 21 24 27 30. Then there's three in the family. Ma and Daddy had a little baby. Yes, they did. Here's a magic number. Yes, they did. It's a family. 369 12 15 18 21 24 27 30. Then there's three in the family. Let's see. Felix the cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. How rich can you get? You're never gonna know till you met. This young boy, Richie Rich is his name. His bank account is as rich as his name. That rich, Richie Rich. Silver hawk, partly metal, partly real. Silver hawk. Hey, we got two people. Hello. How you doing? If haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. And if anything tonight catches your attention, feel free to comment on it. Scooby Dooby Doo, looking for you. Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? All the stars are here, waiting for you. Couldn't have a show without you. Scooby, Scooby Doo. Hey Scooby, where are you? Over here. Let's see now. Let's see now. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish when I eat my spinach. I'm Popeye Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to. Hey Jason, what's your favorite docimeter? I don't even know what a docimeter. I don't think I've seen that word before there, Jason. Let me see if I can enlarge it here. Dosimeter? I have no idea what a dosimeter even is, Jason. So, can't really answer that one for you. Let's see. We all live in a Pokemon world. Pokemon, I want to be greatest master of them all. Greatest master. We all live in a Pokemon world. Pokemon, gonna be be better than all the rest. Do you want to be a master of Pokemon? Do you have the skills to be number one? We all live in a Pokemon world. Pokemon, I wanna be greatest master of them all. Greatest master, we all live in a Pokemon world. Pokemon, wanna be to be better than all the rest. Is Brina Palencia done? Amberly Connors. I think they're still working. As far as I know, they're still working with Funimation. Walking through a crowd in a faceless town, wanna feel the touch of a friend. In the countryside, they wander far and wide. Isolation gets me again. I don't know where to go. Oh, it's actually after after the 8 minute mark. All right, so right now, of course, this would be a good time to talk about what's on tap for tonight. So basically, we'll have 4 stories to go over tonight. Basically one comic related, a couple manga related, and one kind of bit of a bit more television related, just general television, but so, and then of course wrestling roundup, and then this day in each history, and we have some very interesting history. So tonight I'll be going over the review that RJ Carter did on Critical Blast from about Prodigy the Icarus. Let's see what. Sorry, what was that again? Let's see. Yeah, Prodigy the Icarus Society. Also, we got a couple of kind of censorship manga issue articles. One from Square Enix and some of the censoring they did. I think actually think even Hero Hay talked about it a little bit today, and then Seven Seas apologizes for some of the mistranslation they done, and also the Democrats started to cry because Hulu wouldn't air anti-Republican ads, and then Disney, which owns them, ended up acquiescing to him. So that's all that's on tap for tonight for that. Let's see, we're at the 10-minute mark. Let me just do a little and if you haven't already, if you guys can help channel out by liking and sharing the stream, seeing if we can get more people in here, that'd be appreciated. More friendly people, of course. Let me just do a little. I'll send out a. All right. So with that, now without any further ado here, why don't we go ahead and get started on some of the coverage here. All right. So share screen here. Going to get into our first story of the night here. All right, there we are right there. All right. Edison Crane meets his Moriarty. And just in case you guys don't know what that probably means, I'm guessing Edison Crane is kind of a Sherlock Holmes-like detective in this story where they're going to talk about Moriarty was Holmes' archenemy. In Prodigy, the Icarus Society. Let's see, submitted by R.J. Carter on Monday the 25th at 18. Now, depending on when that is, if that's like Eastern Standard Time, that'd be like, well, that's 6:18. So if that's Eastern, 3:18 my time, or 5:18 RJ's time in Central. So, anyways, that's 6:18 Central Time. That would have been 4:00. But I don't think that would have been the case because he would have been on this show already. So here we go. Mark Miller is the living object lesson about throwing things against the wall and seeing what ultimately sticks. Differentiating factor here is that Miller seems to have an inexhaustible supply of ammunition and a target wall with uncanny adhesive properties. Okay. Prodigy, the Icarus Society, sees the return of Edison Crane, a man who processes information at an almost quantum level. The information flooding his brain would conceivably drive someone insane. But no doubt Crane takes weekly therapy appointments with one of his subconscious selves to ensure he works out any and all psychological issues, because he needs constant stimulation. The billionaire inventor, daredevil, and mystery solver routinely seeks out challenges to overcome and sets them up for himself if the world won't oblige. Sounds like there are elements of Batman and Bruce Wayne and Tex Thompson here. What I'm thinking. DC thing. That's the impression I'm getting here. The elements of Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Tex Thompson. Mr. America / Americommando. All right, as we continue on here. But now, the smartest man in the room is no longer a solo act. Enter Dr. Lucius Tong, another with the patient's planning and preternatural intelligence to rival Crane's. Only he's on the amoral side of Crane's altruistic ethics. When we first meet Dr. Tong, he is being taken to prison after drawing Crane to a hostage scene and handcuffing himself before surrendering. It's a foreboding scene that communicates Tong's cold intellect clearly to the reader. But if Al Jolson were writing the review on this issue, he'd no doubt look toward you now and say, quote, "You ain't heard nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. No, baby, I ain't seen nothing yet." But to tell you more of just how chilling is the mind of Tong would be to spoil the rest of the book, which is interspliced with scenes of Crane continuing to provide challenges for himself, such as racing cheetahs and writing fully informed novels in his head that he will never publish. Oh, okay. That sounds very interesting. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. No, baby, ain't seen nothing yet. Ain't gonna be forget. No, you ain't seen nothing yet. No, you ain't seen nothing yet. No, baby, ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, so continuing on here. Prodigy, the Icarus Society, is all the eye-popping, jaw-dropping, mind-agog go-go brilliance that you find in some of the better-known comic titles Miller has produced. Matteo Bufagni's artwork is a departure, the style Raphael Albuquerque brought to the first volume, a step toward more traditional comic book realism. In a way that does make makes the new arc a bit less believable than the first, where Albuquerque's more cartoonish style reminded you that this was a world where it was okay to be over the top and outlandish. Did I say, quote, less believable or believable? Oh, RJ got a little, let's see, got a little spelling error there, believable. Unless you're trying to pull the old belief fable kind of or something like that, but unquote. No, that's not quite right. As it sounds like I'm, let's see, detracting from Bufagni's contribution. Less comfortable would be more likely. More frightening, more spine tingling, more relatable, which makes it all the more terrifying. If you enjoy stories about the super intellectual along the lines of Sherlock and Tom Swift, you don't want to miss this. And if you missed the first story arc, be sure to go grab up the collected edition. Grade 5 of 5 here. So there we go. We go with the first article there. And I guess RG wasn't able to make it in this time. Oh, well. Alrighty then. So let's see now. So let's get ready to move on to the next article we're gonna look up here. Let me see. I'm trying to. Oh, we have a couple other ones that were just added here. But we'll probably save the well. One of them we won't. um, we'll save any newer ones for tomorrow. All right, so here's the next one we're going to look at here. Alrighty then. Oh, hey, RJ. Been here the whole time. Okay, so you did listen you did listen to the did see me read off the article and give some commentary on it. Yeah, I think you did a bit of a typo there, believable with the F as opposed to the B. Overall, though, that does sound like an interesting story, though. Um, super intellectual. You can help me out, of course, by liking and sharing the stream and seeing if you haven't already. Okay, I see you just did. Right, that'd be appreciated. Right, so now we're going to get into next article here. This one's kind of more manga, censorship manga. So let's go ahead and take a peek here at what this is all about. All right. Square Enix heavily censors sexualized artwork from various series for English based on Manga Up app. I know this was written by Spencer McCauley, published yesterday, and I know that I believe Hiro Hay actually talked a little bit about this as well earlier today, one of his videos. So, anyway, the recent release of an English language version of Square Enix's Manga Up app has left fans less than enthused after it was discovered that the company had censored numerous depictions of, in smaller quotes, sexualized body parts, including breasts and knees, across the various manga titles available on the service. Officially made available to the English-speaking public on July 24th, should have been this past Sunday, the appropriately titled Manga Up Global incarnation of Square Enix's digital library collects localized editions of the company's manga catalog in one app, with various agreements having been made to allow for the central aggregation of the series published under the direction, regardless of who, if anyone, may have licensed them in the West. Notable offerings currently up for perusal include Fujino Omori and Kunieda's illustrated adaptation of the former's original light novel series, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Homura Kawamoto and Toru Naomura's Kakegurui, Compulsive Gambler, and Hiromu Arakawa's seminal work, Full Metal Alchemist. Try saying that one 3 times fast. And of course, there's Edward Elric in Chapter 1, The Two Alchemists. So there's Edward Elric in manga form there. See if we have anybody participating now. All right, let's see now. While the announcement that the app would finally be coming stateside was initially met with celebration and praise from fans, these positive sentiments were quickly dashed as it was soon discovered that the company had taken a shotgun blast approach to slapping a black bar over any artwork featured on the app that could be considered even remotely sexual. Well, I think remotely sexual, not remotely sexually. For example, in the first prologue chapter of Atsushi Okubo's Soul Eater, an early scene wherein Soul, intent on killing the mysterious and small quote witch Blair, bursts in on the woman while she's bathing, sees numerous shots of the latter's bare breasts and backside unceremoniously covered up. Yeah, that's that's kind of screwed because it's like, okay, censoring it like that is just so. I mean, you're looking at something, all of a sudden you turn a page or what have you, and there's a big black box where something else should be. That's just. Blair is further censored in her first full body illustration, occurring just the next page over, with her fully clothed chest being hidden from viewers' eyes. Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Okay, if she's now fully clothed and you're that's goes beyond idiocy. That's just taking it too far, way too far. Likewise, the first chapter of Shinichi Fukuda's My Dress Up Darling, whose recent anime adaptation was one of the most popular of the winter 2022 season, featured censorship of both a cosplay-inspired photo shared by female lead Marin Kitagawa as well as a subsequent panty shot between her legs. In the world of isekai, Square Enix covered up the bottom portion of Tiana's standard leotard outfit in OG Koro's manga adaptation of Yoshiyuki Takahashi's and Tetfish's From Leveling Up the Hero to Leveling Up a Nation. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of the censorship is getting kind of ridiculous. Okay. That is a little over the top there. Perhaps suffering the worst of all, Kinoji and Matsumoto Komikan's I time traveled and confessed to my teacher crush was subjected to near constant censorship of its female lead, Haruka Hiragi. A woman whose busty quality is apparent regardless of her outfit. And Manga Up, and Manga Up version of the Isekai series, first chapter, not only censors near every appearance of Hiragi's cleavage, as most blatantly seen in their black barring, quote unquote, of the manga's opening color page. Yeah, again, that's over the top. I mean, they're black barring it even if the girl is clothed. I mean, come on, that's being ridiculous now. That's being way over the top. Way over the top. But also, in one shot, her genitalia, despite her wearing nothing more revealing than a pair of jeans. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if it's to acquiesce to them or just if I don't. I mean, at this point, you almost get the impression that maybe Square Enix almost did this on purpose to just maybe to make a point. Maybe Square Enix is trying to make a point with this, like this censorship like this is just so freaking stupid. Oh boy, because this is over the top. I mean, you're even censoring it if the girl's clothed. Come on, dang. Most bizarrely of all, Square Enix's censorious intent also resulted in a shot of protagonist Ragna's knee as drawn in the opening color spread for Ninju Muicha Taro and Yami Satsuki's strongest swordswoman's magic training reincarnated with level 99 cents. He gets to start over from level 1, being given in the black bar treatment. Yeah, I kind of wonder if maybe Square Enix almost did this on purpose. It's like not as much to acquiesce to the West here, but just to show some of these clowns in the West just how ridiculous this is, how ridiculous their whole crying is. That's the impression I'm getting here. Given this odd knee-related judgment, parentheses, which truly feels like a joke straight out of me and Roboboko, as well as the examples provided by users on social media of the service's inconsistent application of its standards. Some have speculated that Square Enix may have employed an automated program to analyze, detect, and ultimately censor its manga uploads for Western audiences. That's possible too, but I'm almost beginning to think that maybe they did this on purpose just to show some of the Western, twidiots just how stupid and ridiculous they are. However, as of writing, no concrete evidence has been provided to either support or disprove this theory. There's the witch Blair again. Further the above examples, but a few instances of Square Enix's um, manga up censorship practices. Thus, as the service finds its way into more hands, it's highly likely that even further edits will be uncovered. Yeah, as more people look deeper into it, that's probably what will happen. There you go with that one. And there we go. That one. That was that one. And I'm gonna need to step away from it as soon as I get to the next story here. I'll need to step away from the. Here we go. Here's the next story we're gonna look at. And before I get into this, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. Be right back. I'm back. Let's see. RJ here. Um, let's see. Translation: the check's cleared. The check's cleared. Oh, what? Are you mean about the Disney article here, RJ? You mean about like? Is that what you mean? Anyways, let's get into this story here. Um, Democrats complain that Disney-owned streaming service in small quote Hulu won't play anti-Republican ads. The Walt Disney Company immediately acquiesces to their demands. Article by Jacob Smith, published today on Movies Television. This isn't as this is the only reason I'm even reporting on this because it's Disney that and Disney is more granted this according to this is more involving movies and television, which don't really do as much mainstream coverage, but since it's Disney and since we saw the cartoon characters up top there, we with the 2022 midterm election just around the corner, Democrats in Washington need all the help they can to prevent Americans who are upset with the way the country is being run from voting Republican and possibly flipping the House as well as the Senate. Well, it's almost a foregone conclusion that's going to happen. Maybe people will learn that liberal ideologies are not going to work. Democrats are willing to spend big money on political ads this year, but they are already reportedly being declined by one major streaming service. They're willing. Disney-owned streaming service Hulu is refusing to run Democrat ads that attack Republicans on the issues of guns and abortion, and Democrats are not happy. Three Democratic organizations, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and Democratic Governors Association, complained to the Washington Post in an article titled, quote, Dems fume at Disney's Hulu for blocking ads on abortion, guns, unquote, to slam the Disney-backed service for not allowing their political ads a couple months before the midterms. The Washington Post reported the three Democrat committees informed them that they, quote, tried to purchase joint ads on abortion and guns with Hulu on July 15th, along with identical placements on a Disney-affiliated ABC affiliate in Philadelphia and the company's cable sports channel ESPN. The Hulu ads never ran, while the others did, unquote. In response to the ads not running on Hulu, Christy Roberts, Tim Persico, and Noam Lee, the executive directors of the three committees, in a joint statement provided to the Washington Post, said, quote, Hulu's censorship of the truth is outrageous, offensive, and another step down a dangerous path for our country. Oh, really? It's kind of the same stuff you guys have been pulling for the last few years. Now that it's happening to you, I mean, you guys have been trying to cancel culture and all that, and trying to shut people down and tell them, well, if you don't like what we do on Facebook or Twitter, go start your own stuff. And then you try to shut them down. You've been pulling the same garbage for the last 2 or 3 years. Now that it's happening to you, all of a sudden,
all of a sudden it's not fair. It's like up yours, Democrats or Democrats, I like to call them. And you wouldn't know truth if it came up and bit you in the rear end. Anyways, voters have the right to know the facts about MAGA Republicans' extreme agenda. Oh yeah, well, what about hard left Democrats' extreme views on the police? What about the hard left attitude that minorities can do no wrong? What about that? Hulu is doing a huge disservice to the American people. No, no, they're not. Unquote. The Washington Post also cited an anonymous Hulu employee that told them, "quote We do accept candidate ads that reference those topics," unquote, referring to guns and abortion. However, this alleged anonymous employee also added, "quote It needs to be in context." So I guess what the anonymous employee is saying is that it sounds like the Democrats are trying to put ads out there. They're just simply attacking Republicans for being pro-gun and pro-life, and maybe they're suggesting there's no real substance to what they're doing. You know, Siraj Patel, a Democrat candidate for Congress in New York City, posted a letter to protest to Disney CEO Bob Chapek and Hulu president Joe Early, claiming that a Hulu representative told his campaign that an ad they submitted, which criticized Republicans on abortion, climate change, gun violence, and the January 6th protests on the U.S. Capitol, need to be changed. Well, maybe they do. Maybe in their view they needed to be changed, and if they did need to be changed, maybe you should have changed them. He wrote in his letter, quote, "On June 30th, my campaign received a call from one of your representatives informing me, according to an unwritten Hulu policy," in smaller quotes, "merely mentioning these topics was considered too sensitive, and without censoring my campaign advertising, I would not be allowed to air the ad on Hulu." So So again, and it goes back to that other comment too, where there had to be context to it. Had to be context to it. That's you know, I think at least based on what I'm reading so far, I think what Hulu's upper management is saying is simply saying that guns are bad, simply saying that abortion is good, simply saying that Democrats are angels and Republicans are demons is not enough for them to put the ad up. I think that's what it's coming down to. You know, that's at least what it sounds like to me. Because basically the other person, the other comment we read earlier in the article was had to be in context. If these people are just going out there and just trying to say, well, guns are bad, abortion's good, you know, Democrats are the good guys, and Republicans are the bad guys. That's not enough. That's not enough to people. If it doesn't matter which party you belong to. If that's what you're doing, people will tune you out. Will most likely tune you out and say, you know, Mississippi. So and we did. And again, if you have anything you want to add to the conversation, See, there's one. It looks like there's one other person in here with me. If there's anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to chime in. See. Quote, to not discuss these topics in my campaign is to not address the most important issues facing the United States, unquote, Patel wrote. Quote, a democracy only functions with open debate, shared facts, and an informed electorate. We are at an absolutely critical time in our nation's history. Yeah, fully fully informative, hearing both sides, you know. Fact is, we you do have a constitutional right to bear arms. Period. He later wrote, quote, your ban on mobilization messaging has a pervasive effect on democracy, unquote. Um, in an interview discussing his letter, Patel also stated, quote, this policy has incredible implications for people nationwide, both voters and people running for office. You need to communicate with younger voters on the mediums where they are watching. Cable is not where they are watching. Unquote. In light of Patel's complaints about Hulu, the streaming service contacted Patel's campaign Monday afternoon to let him know that his original ad would be accepted on the platform, including the image of January 6th. Yeah, so as I think as RJ said, the check must have cleared. I think as RJ just said, the check must have cleared, and that's why they're allowing the ad now. Not only would Hulu approve Patel's ad, the Walt Disney Company at large would immediately cave to the complaints brought forth by the Washington Post. Yeah, even if they're risking, well, I guess in a way it's a no-win situation because if they don't cave, they lose half of their viewership. If they do cave, they are going to likely lose half their viewership. It's a no-win situation for Disney, I guess. A representative told the Hollywood Reporter, quote, after a thorough review of ad policies across its linear networks and streaming platforms over the last few months, Disney is now aligning Hulu's political advertising policies to be consistent with the company's general entertainment and sports cable network and ESPN Plus, unquote. The representative added, quote, Hulu will now accept candidate and issue advertisements covering a wide spectrum of policy positions, but reserves the right to request edits or alternative creative in alignment with industry standards, unquote. Well, since the only thing I would say is, okay, if they are going to change the rules and they're going to cave like this, enforce it equally. In other words, okay, Democrats, let Republicans do the same thing. Let Republicans air their ads too. That if if basically the Republicans have essentially somewhat the same content, just a different interpretation or viewpoint, let them do the same thing. Disney's immediate change in policy at Hulu, no surprise given how the company acted in Florida when they chose to pose a bill banning the grooming of young children. Disney went to war against the state of Florida. Republican governor of Florida, Rob DeSantis, over the Parents' Rights in Education Bill, which prohibits the teaching of sexuality and transgenderism to children between kindergarten and third grade. In other words, Florida passed a bill where you shouldn't be talking about that stuff to the kids that young to begin with. Okay, they don't need to be thinking about that or learn. They don't need to be thinking about that. The battle with Florida did not end well for Disney, as the Florida legislature passed a bill ending the tax and governing exemption afforded to the company-owned Reedy Creek Improvement District, upon which Walt Disney World Resort sits. Yeah, so basically they're caving because they're afraid that what I think is happening is Disney's afraid that if they didn't cave to the Democrats here, they're currently in power right now, and they would like lower the boom on them. Tracking firm Kantar Media projects that $7.8 billion will be spent on political advertising for the 2022 election season, meaning Democrats having access to major streaming platforms is a major part of their strategy in the upcoming midterm. Also, one of the things is that traditionally, or at least over the last 40, 50 years at least, maybe even going, over the last 40, 50 years, at 18 to 25 demographic, which is a heavy part of what Hulu is, that voting block is important to Democrats. They lose that, they're in trouble. They're already losing, they're losing the Hispanic, okay? Losing the Hispanic community. Because there are many Hispanics that are now, pro MAGA. So, and they can't afford to lose any major demographic. As Democrats hope to fill the political ads about January 6th and abortion, polls going into the midterms show majority of Americans are unhappy about the direction the country is setting issues such as record high gas and energy prices, record inflation, food shortages, supply chain issues, and fears that the country is already in economic. So basically, here's what that means. Social issues will take a back seat when you're messing around with somebody's money. You're messing around with somebody's money, you're messing around with somebody's livelihood. You're in essence messing around with their life. So social issues like maybe guns or abortion or political, January 6th, there probably are a lot of those same people that feel January 6th may have been necessary. There may be even some feel that maybe those who did storm the Capitol maybe didn't go far enough. All right. So, Disney right now is going to just end up caving to any government. Anytime any government official threatens them, they're going to have to cave because it went badly for them in Florida. If they didn't, but what I would suggest to Disney is you treat Republicans the exact same way as Democrats. In other words, Democrats want their ads put on, you allow Republicans with their ads on. Okay? You judge them by the same exact standards. You judge both sides by the same exact standards, and let that, regardless of your own political leanings or your ideology or what have you. As long as you apply it fairly, nobody should have a complaint. If Democrats are still complaining, it's because they're losing, because they've been losing the narrative for the last year or so, because as their livelihoods have been attacked, you know, social issues are going to take a back seat. With the country rapidly going in a negative direction, Democrats are going to need to spend as much money as possible on ads to convince the American people that voters are safe in their hands heading into November. Yeah, what I'm hoping is that maybe what's happened since the Democrats took control, and Democrats have been in control for the last years. I'm hoping people will wake up enough to flip everything back, and we can get back on the right track. I'm hoping we can, and it looks like we most likely will flip both the House and the Senate back, and then have stronger runs in 2024. Get more MAGA people in there, and hopefully get Trump back in there to finish the job he started in 2020 or in 2016 rather. So there you go with that. So we got one more. We got one more article to. I think we got one more article to get through. Yeah, and this will probably be a short, considering we kind of went long last night, so I'll probably. And we went a little long last night. I guess I'll balance it out. Go a little shorter tonight. All right. All right, so I'll get ready to get to the last article we're going to cover tonight. It is this one right here. This will be the last article we read tonight. This is another kind of censorship article regarding the manga by Nerdigans Inc. Anyways. All right, so Seven Seas apologizes for intentional English mistranslation of "I think I turned my childhood friend into a girl," promised to revise script, quote, "to more accurately reflect the author's original intent," unquote. So yeah, so there's been some controversy about this particular manga because how they were translating it originally. One of the characters was meant to be what they call a femboy. A boy who's still got a lot of the natural male urges, just acts more feminine. Into like suggesting that they might be like transgendered or whatever. Basically, as you guys know, trying to push a particular narrative. Anyways, Here's here we go with the article. In a huge victory for manga fans, femboys, Odo Konoko, and traps alike, and a huge loss to the and smaller quote naive angel, credit to Platinum Games for this new term. Localization mafia, Western manga, and light novel publisher Seven Seas Entertainment has announced they will be releasing I Think I Turned My Girlfriend or My Childhood Friend into a Girl with a localization more in line with mangaka Azusa Banjo's original vision. Seven Seas provided an update on the situation on July 19th, roughly a month after fan outrage over over the publisher's decision to overwrite Banjo's original script and localize the series' love interest as a transgender woman rather than a feminine cross-dressing male, um, prompted the publisher to launch an investigation into the English language release via their official Twitter account. Quote, in response to fan concerns, Seven Seas has thoroughly reviewed our English language version of I Think I Turned My Childhood Friend into a Girl, Volume 1, unquote, the publisher informed readers. They then admitted that while, quote, the subject he, okay, there's a typo right there. The subject matter in this book is delicate, and we took every effort to keep the language respectful and inclusive, unquote. After having discussed, quote, the matter with the rights holders, unquote, the publisher, quote, realized that our edition differs in certain details about, from the author's intent, unquote. Quote, with that in mind, unquote, Seven Seas announced, quote, we will be revising the English script of this series to address various concerns and to more accurately reflect the original intent of the creator. Unquote. So, regarding their plans on rolling out this more accurate English language release, the publisher explained this revised translation will be available in reprints Volume 1, and the translation for future volumes will be handled by a collaborative translation team to ensure a faithful and accurate translation of the original work. Quote, we're sorry for any confusion um, or stress caused um, first printing of volume 1, parentheses. The statement concluded, quote, and we thank you for your passion as we bring this complex and wonderful manga series to English speaking languages um, audiences. Following this announcement, Banjo herself um, tweeted in smaller quote, thank you message to the fans who brought the mistranslation of her to her attention, writing, quote, thank you for cherishing I Think I Turned My Childhood Friend to a Girl and character. I'll continue to create pleasant manga. Unsurprisingly, Seven Seas statement sparked a divide among professional translators. Some thankful that the publisher listened to fan criticisms, and others aggrieved that they would bend to, in smaller quotes, toxic behavior. For example, localizer Muru Chan opined, quote, I support Seven Seas making changes if it's in the best interest of the work. I don't support them completely glossing over the toxic, hateful response from a section of people whose motives were plain to see. Um, Small quote, passion, my rear end. Well, okay. Basically, here's the thing though. Here's how I would respond to that individual. Apparently, the mistranslation, as it were, got back to the original author. And if you look at the original author, if you look at Miss Bonger's statement, she probably was not really happy with the translation. She probably felt it was a misrepresentation of what she intended. So you're now going to sit there and try to say that the original author is toxic and hateful? Are you know, the author herself did not like the translation. Okay? I'm sure there are a lot of mangakas out there, a lot of manga artists and writers who don't like Westerners altering their work, especially to push a certain message. And it's kind of funny because we do talk a lot about, we hear a lot about LGBTQIA plus as one full community. But this is one of those examples where it almost seems like um, you got a schism even within the community here. Because to go back up a sec to one of the previous things. Let's see if I could find that what they're talking about here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. They basically changed the love interest from a feminine cross-dressing male to a transgender woman. Okay, so or what they call a femboy, basically. Okay, okay, so went from an effeminate male who may have been gay, okay, to being a transgender woman. That almost seems like you're trying to put a war, trying to put lesbians, gays, and transgendered people almost at war with each other. You know, it's kind of funny how when we talk about the LGBTQIA plus community, everybody wants to talk about, we should accept them for what they are and all that. But even within their own communities, there seem to be little schisms here. It's almost like you're saying that, you should be giving more favorability or preference because you're a transgendered woman than if you're just simply a male transvestite or a femboy. You know, I mean, go figure. And as we saw here too, the original author of the manga apparently was appreciative of fans bringing it to her attention. So I guess when she got wind of what the localizers did, she wasn't probably too happy with what they did. They're altering her work, her vision. to fit their own narrative. Okay, ultimately they didn't just it wasn't just this small group of militant this very loud minority just got so aggressive and violent that we had to cave in. No, they went through the right channels. They questioned Seven Seas. They even brought it to the original creators' attention. The original creator probably took a look at what the translators did and said, "No, that's not what I intended." So, is that person going to now again go and sit there and berate the original mangaka now? Are they going to? Are they going to? Are they going to like sit there and claim that this manga creator is hateful and toxic? It's almost funny because cultures. It almost seems like, I don't know, cultures with a more conservative mindset. You know, in which cultures that are built more on certain traditions, right? No matter what race they are, no matter it's funny. It's funny how a lot of these people who are criticizing what happened here would sit there and preach tolerance, yet they're not really practicing a whole lot of tolerance right here. Okay, again, go figure. And yes, it does seem like I found another article here that I'm going to be ramble on a little more than I probably intended, just like last night with Anime X. So continuing on with the article, then let's see. Quote, IMO, which I guess means, in my opinion, companies need to start standing up to online harassment and toxicity. Okay, no, because again, they just simply brought it to the manga. Okay, ultimately, it got back to the manga creator, and she said, "Yeah, it's not my work. I don't appreciate this." Quote, even a generic, quote, "we do not condone harassment," unquote, would suffice. Instead of Instead, the large part played by targeted and ideologically motivated outrage is ignored in favor of praising the quote unquote passion of these so-called fans. Again, Meru, you're just mad because the agenda you're pushing is not going to get pushed now, or because because again, it got back to the original mangaka, the original manga creator, what the localizers did to her work, and she was not happy about it. And this is the type of thing that's more likely would cause a schism within the LGBTQIA plus community. Quote, yes, there was legit criticism from legit fans and other observers in there, unquote. Mero concluded her thread. Quote, but let's not pretend that was the majority of the outcry. Unquote. Um, Again, if even the person who originally wrote the story had an issue with the translation, um, then maybe it wasn't harassment or toxicity. Returning to the subject a short while later, Meru added, quote, "Oh yeah, also the original translation, not in bad faith, not changing the plot, not quote injecting woke politics, just a matter of some misinterpretation and a good faith attempt to convey some of the nuances of the story. Not everything is some grand conspiracy. Yet, even the original, again, even the original manga artist had issues with the translation. That's what I'll keep going back to. It got what they were doing with the translation got back to the person who originally wrote the story, who wrote the book, and they apparently did not seem to be too fond of what the translation did. At Maruchan's criticism was eventually met with pushback from fellow professional translator at Alita87, who chimed in, quote, "Yeah, nah, this is a bad translation," unquote. Quote, "No interpretation," unquote, she maintained. Quote, "just making femgay into auto trans without ever asking editor to confirm with source. I am a translator confirming with source and making sure your translation is both faithful and natural should be the norm." Good. That's a good way of putting it there. That's a good way of putting it, Lita. That's a good way of putting it, Alita 87. Providing further insight into the industry to another user who claimed that, quote, "Japanese companies just kind of don't care or are too busy to care about the translation quality as long as it brings cash," unquote. Adelita 87 explained, quote, "Maybe that's the case with some companies, but the company I freelance for actually has clients that care about their material being both faithful and making sense in natural English. Only weird one I ever had was Ushiro insisting that all, etc., be exact placement as JP. So, which I still noted the editor a couple of places where that was really odd, and to show both the requested style and natural style, quote, she noted, quote, "Granted, I freelance for a small company, but big ones have even greater responsibilities," unquote. Let's see. She added, quote, "If this were a one-time thing, then maybe I would agree with OP. The Seven Seas and Funimation have on multiple occasions made very bad translation calls, many of which included not Japanese present loaded language. Journalism 101 says to avoid loaded language," unquote. Now, I think what she's saying here is that basically Seven Seas and Funimation have had recent history of trying to push their own agendas instead of being faithful to what, quote, "But OP, of course, um, assumed I am a troll, so blocked me to laugh out loud," unquote, observed at Elite 87. Um, before proceeding to admit, quote, "I know a lot of anime fans on Twitter are phalluses, but a lot of their localization concerns are in some part valid. Yes, we have to sometimes make decisions." However, she also offered the caveat that said localization changes, quote, should be made after doing thorough research if your agency is not willing to reach out to clients. Unquote. Quote, I have reached out to authors myself when they use social media or or done through searches on Japanese sites to try and see their angle, unquote. She recalled, quote, and this includes when I translated a right-wing manga. Translating accurately doesn't mean I agree with the material. I have translated some, weird porn, and I mean weird. Unquote. Likewise, at Crimson 00 asserted, quote, this fiasco was not an innocent mistake, unquote. Quote, the translator either did it intentionally or is unqualified for their job, unquote, he wrote. Quote, good translators have to be willing to call out bad ones and hold them accountable. There's a reason this isn't the first time Seven Seeds has had this problem. Manga localizer Zachbig questioned the wording of Seven Seeds' statement, asking the publisher, well, why did you craft your statement to make it sound like accommodating the gender nonconforming community represented by the manga is not being respectful? Okay, like accommodating to the gender nonconforming community represented by this manga is not being respectful and inclusive. Unquote. Oh, like seriously, guys, your statement makes it sound like it's the author's fault that the trans interpretation of the character is being erased. He said, "Well, to a degree, it is. Well, to a degree, it is only because it was the original author never intended the character to be trans, or at least transgendered. Okay, maybe based on this, a cross-dressing, a feminine cross-dressing male intended it to be the original author may have intended the character to be a transvestite, but not transgendered. And there is a significant. I think there is a significant difference there. Let's see. Quote, when it's a case that said reading it's not what was intended in the first place. So all the onus is on your team. Exactly. The thing is, the original author didn't intend for the character to be transgender to begin with. Replying to a request for comment on the situation from Founding in the Comics professional translator at Bansama informed us, quote, any, in small quote, decent localization chain has an official route to consult with the author. The translator may not get the answer, but someone in the chain will. Quote, which is also why a decent chain has, an asterisk here, several bilinguals checking the work to make sure it's faithful and not mistake riddle, unquote. He detailed, quote, there's no excuse for this mistake being published as was. It's just further evidence that Seven Seas lacks a proper localization flow. Based on Seven Seas' statement, if it had not been for the manga readers mobilizing directly, um, to the Japanese publisher. Seven Seas would have kept their localization for I Think I Turned My Girlfriend, My Child's Friend into a Girl as is. As of this publication, Seven Seas has not released any information regarding how readers who purchased the mistranslated edition may request a refund or exchange. So there you go. So bottom line there is that yeah, I think Seven Seas either either were incompetent or did it intentionally because they wanted to push an agenda. So anyways, so with that, we got through all the articles we're going to read tonight. So now we're going to go ahead and um, do some wrestling roundup here. Okay, now this weekend in Nashville is gonna pretty busy within the wrestling world because on Saturday from Nissan Stadium, of course, WWE is going to have its SummerSlam event, and then on Sunday from the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, Jim Crockett Promotions under the leads of David Crockett and Conrad Thompson will be hosting a show called Ric Flair's Last Match. And also, of course, we do have some AEW news as well. Uh, yeah. um, so let's see now. So with that, so supposedly one of the matches from SummerSlam was canceled, which was it was going to be the match that was canceled was between Riddle and Seth Rollins. Uh, they decided to postpone this match. So this is a kayfabe injury, a stinger from Seth Rollins' attack last or on Monday Night Raw. Um, they decided to postpone it, but the other matches are going to still be going on. Now, Triple H is essentially now taking over creative, so you might actually start seeing some major changes in how the WWE presents its cards. You have a situation where you know where some major changes are going to happen. Now, again, I'll run down the card real quick. You have in the main event for the unified titles, the WWE title and the Universal title, you have Roman Reigns defending against Brock Lesnar in the Last Man Standing match. That'll be the main event of the night. You also have in a match for the unified tag titles, the Usos defending against the Street Profits with Jeff Jarrett being the special guest referee. Jarrett, of course, will be having a busy. He'll be the special referee for that match, and then he'll also be involved in the main event for the following night at the Municipal Auditorium. We'll get to that so in a bit here. Also on the card, you will have Bobby Lashley um, defending the United States title against Theory, and Roman Reigns has already kind of warned Theory, "Hey, you better not be thinking about cashing in your your Money in the Bank match after my match." Because there are some theories that maybe with McMahon gone, Theory's push will probably die out. Theory was a McMahon guy, was a Vince guy, and there are probably people like Triple H and Stephanie who maybe weren't as high on Theory as Vince was. Um, Again, though, we might see some creative changes going on. You've already had people talking about how there's some former WWE stars or like in AEW who would now seriously consider going back to the WWE now that Triple H is now in charge again of creative. So, and of course, both women's titles will be on the line as Bianca Belair will be defending Raw Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. Liv Morgan defends the SmackDown Women's title against Ronda Rousey. Again, it's gonna see how that pans out. How that will pan out. You have in a tag team no disqualification match, you have the father-son duo of the Mysterios, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, Rey the father, Dominic the son, taking on the Judgment Day of Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Having a couple other matches, The Miz taking on Logan Paul, and Pat McAfee taking on Happy Corbin. So that's all that's going down on Raw at SummerSlam. So with that, let's see now. All right, and so the next thing we'll talk about, and then we'll go back to the AEW news. As I mentioned before, Sunday, of course, from the National Municipal Auditorium, Jim Crockett Promotions, under the leadership of David Crockett and Conrad Thompson, will be promoting Ric Flair's last match. The main event, of course, we'll see Ric Flair teaming with his son-in-law Andre El Idolio, going up against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Now there have been some rumors that Rick may not be able to wrestle as much in this match as he had originally hoped because he's got a foot issue. Anyways, I'm going to need to step away from the computer for a moment because I've got to make some lighting adjustments in here. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Yeah. Huh. But with that, some of the other matches that are also going to be happening, a couple of title matches. Now, um, Jim Crockett Promotions, of course, using talent from AEW, um, AEW, Ring of Honor, NWA, even New Japan, I believe. They're using talent from across some major promotions here. Among some of the other matches include a couple of title matches on the line as Impact World Champion Josh Alexander will start off the show defending the Impact World title against Jacob Fatu. The other title match that was signed will be Impact Knockouts champion Jordan Grace defending her title in a triple threat match against Diona Purrazzo and Rachel Ellering. Some of the other matches on the card include the Motor City Machine Guns representing Impact Wrestling of Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, as Alex Shelley also prepares for his upcoming world title shot at Emergence in a couple weeks after this. Battling the Wolves of Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. Of course, Eddie Edwards has been somewhat of a feud with a lot of people on Impact as part of he's the leader of Honor No More. Harry Smith coming in from the NWA, one half of the NWA World Tag Team Champions right now will be taking on Killer Cross, Scarlett Bordeaux in his corner. You'll have a bunkhouse battle royal in which the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people participating in this battle royal. Among the bunkhouse battle royal, among the more well-known names include Bully Ray, aka Bubba Ray Dudley, Crowbar from WCW fame, Tennessee legend Wolfie D, one half of PG-13, legendary tag team, the Tennessee Cowboy James Storm, Impact legend right there. Brian Myers, a current Impact digital media champion. And that's basically all of the. And Crimson, NWA's Crimson will be coming in the, somebody. You will also have 2 4-way matches. In one match, Jonathan Gresham coming off of his Ring of Honor title loss, taking on Konosuke Takeshita, who is representing New Japan and AEW. Alan Angels representing AEW and Nick Wayne. In another 4-way match, you have Laredo Kid and Taurus representing Impact. Ray Phoenix of Death Triangle in AEW representing AEW, and Bandito from Ring of Honor all in that match. You also, in a couple other big tag team matches, you have the Battle of the Brothers. You got the Briscoe brothers, Jay and Mark Briscoe, not related to Jack and Jerry Briscoe, of course. Different. These Briscoes have been an active tag team for the last 20 years on the East Coast Independents. 12-time Ring of Honor tag against third-generation stars Marshall and Ross Von Erich. They're, of course, the sons of Kevin Von Erich and the grandsons of Fritz Von Erich. So we'll get to see the Von Erichs in action and some Briscoes here. And another tag team, another family family tag war. You have the father and son duo, Ricky and Kerry Morton, with Robert Gibson in their corner. Robert Gibson, of course, Ricky's longtime legendary tag partner in the Rock and Roll Express, versus the team of Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr., 2 second generation, of course, as you all may know, and they're being led to the ring by Arn Anderson, representing AEW. The Mortons representing NWA. So you've got kind of a bit of a stat card here. You got, as I said, you got talent from from AEW, Impact, and Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and the NWA all participating in this event. And things are even dimmer now, so I guess I need to take one more little break here. All right, so let's see. So yeah, so with that, now we just have some AEW news to kind of go over now, real quick before we get ready move on, finish this up a bit. So tonight, AEW will have Fight for the Fallen, as they try to raise money for Oceana, who are they're an environmental organization. Raise funds to help spare sharks of getting their fins cut off. Um, so on tonight's episode of Dynamite, in the main, you have 3 title matches going on, in which you have Jon Moxley defending the interim AEW world, the AEW interim world heavyweight championship against Rush, Roosh, spelled out Rush. um, an individual who's gone 10-0 across 2 countries and multiple organizations. Had his record and from AEW to Ring of Honor down to Mexico. Also, you'll have the women's title being defended, as Thunder Rosa will be defending the AEW World Women's title against Miyu Yamashita. And then you have in the third title match of the night, Absolute Ricky Starks of Team Taz will be defending FTW title against Danhausen. In the other 2 undercard matches, Bryan Danielson will be making his return, his in-ring return. He's finally been medically cleared, and he'll be representing the Blackpool Combat Club, taking on Daniel Garcia of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And we will also see in action tonight as well, in a handicap match with his tag partner, Limitless League, and from ringside, Swerve Strickland takes on Smart Mark Sterling and his charge, Tony Nese. So you got that all going on tonight, and then matches already signed for this Friday's Rampage are Ethan Page with Dan Lambert, his corner representing Men of the Year, in a rematch from Elevation against Leon Ruffin, where Page was upset that Ruffin actually put up a fight against him in their match. And in the other match, you got a teacher-student matchup in which Matt Sydal will be taking on Lee Moriarty. It would appear Moriarty may be turning him heel. The reasoning more out of frustration for he had a recent loss to Jonathan Gresham. For the Ring of Honor title. And even Stokely Hathaway, who's currently the manager of Big Cargo and the Baddies, has tried to recruit this guy. So stay tuned for that. And of course, I will have the results of tonight's Dynamite. I will talk about those on tomorrow's show. So I'll get ready here to. Somebody came in and, well, thank you for the like and share. Whoever did that. Wish it stuck around a bit. But anyways, we gotta go send a quick little message here, and then gonna go see if RJ, I can get RJ to come in or come over to see this because I. Anyways, all right. So today being Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. It's time to look back on this day in each history. History! I'll just give it a few minutes here. And I'm just want to wait to see if anybody else comes in right now. Found out something real interesting today. As doing my research for this Annie's history, that somebody's got a really big birthday today. Just a minute more. All right. Well, as it would appear, nobody's coming. Oh, I've never. Oh, okay. Well, I couldn't tell because you're not saying anything, RJ. Didn't really tell. The counter keeps saying one person watching, so I'm figuring that's me. But anyways, you're here now, so that's good. And even the StreamYard counter is saying 0 viewers. So you're not saying anything. So all right. So well with you here then, let me get to that point I was getting at earlier. The first thing I'd like to do is wish a very special happy centennial to an individual that those of us who grew up, in 70s and 80s would know a bit. Um, Today marks and believe it or not, this is actually true, marks the 100th birthday of Norman Lear. Norman Lear, the famous TV producer, of course, known for, let's see. Well, here, they also list him as American television Channel Umpty 3 and writer, they also provided the voice of Benjamin Franklin in the South Park episode I'm a Little Bit Country, and also voiced himself in Simpsons, Mr. Lisa's Opus. But Norman Lear, of course, is known for his work as a television writer and producer. Of course, produced such shows as All in the Family, Maude, Sanford and Son, One Day at a Time, The Jeffersons, and Good Times. A lot of these shows were considered classics. In fact, it says here Lear continued to actively produce television, including the 2017 remake One Day at a Time and the Netflix revival of Good Times 2022. He turns 100 years old today. Let's see. Lear founded the advocacy organization People for the American Way to counter the influence of the Christian right in politics. In the early 2000s, he mounted a tour of the Declaration. Okay. Well, anyway, so happy 100th birthday. And as a 100-year-old man, he's also involved in the Netflix production of Good Times. Wow. Think about that. I mean, the dude turns 100 today, and he's still active. Dude is a legend. Whether or not you agree with his politics or his ideology, the fact is the dude is 100 years old. The fact is the dude produced some classic television that we all kind of grew up with. We may not, at some point in our life, we may have agreed with some of the things he stated, and there's other times when we may not have agreed. But at least he made you think, right? He produced such shows as All in the Family, One Day at a Time, a lot of those classic 70s sitcoms. So, happy 100th birthday to Norman Lear. Big props. All right, moving on to the next piece of niche history here. As I did have to say a little bit more about that as such. So, moving on to 1972, which was 50 years ago today. And on this date, 50 years ago today, the Harvey Comics titled Richie Rich Jackpots #1 went on sale on this date in 1972. Sold for 20 cents. It's 32 pages, edited by Leon Harvey. So on this date, the first issue of Richie Rich Jackpots, which lasted for 58 issues, I believe a bi-monthly, or I think it was a bi-monthly title, more or less. Ran for like 10 years there. So on this date, 50 years ago today, Richie Rich Jackpots #1 went on sale on this date. So there's that. And now for one last piece of niche history, we go to 2002. And on this date, 20 years ago today, on this date, 10 years ago today, 20 years ago today, I'm sorry, Loki would defeat Christopher Daniels, Spanky, and Doug Williams in a 4-way 60-minute Iron Man match, become the first Ring of Honor world champion. So on this date today, Loki became the first Ring of Honor world champion, winning the Iron Man, winning a 4-way Iron Man match, 4-way 60-minute Iron Man match. So there you go. So that's all that I have for you guys tonight. Ran a little longer. I wasn't necessarily trying to go 2 hours tonight because I went almost 3 hours last night, but I hope you guys did enjoy the content. Yeah, that was kind of amazing what I found out today when I saw that Norman Lear was actually still alive, was 100 years old, and still pretty active. That's something right there. So go figure. With that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Don't forget, RJ will be, of course, joining me on Friday as we will be finishing up our coverage of March of 1962. In our historical content, we'll be looking at quality, books that went on sale from Quality Comics in March of 1939. Be looking at, focusing in on Future Funny Volume 1, number 20. As or as we here at Mikestand have come to call him. Well, actually, one of the characters in there, the clock, right, because of how they designed the map. We here at the Mikestand have come to call the clock Captain Napkin. Um, anyway, so we'll be reading, of course, the clock, Black Eggs. We'll probably be reading some more of the Eisner's work, of course. So I hope to see you guys back here on Friday. I hope to see you guys back here tomorrow for more news earlier. Have the results from tonight's Dynamite probably go over. Yeah, any other news in regards to the event coming up this weekend, SummerSlam Saturday, and Ric Flair's last match on Sunday. If I have anything more on that, any changes or adjustments, I'll let you guys know. Anyways, I thank y'all for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.